Okay, let's begin by just thinking about what motivates you. What motivates you right now? What motivates you in your studies, in your life, in your day-to-day environment? What motivates you? So take a look at these photographs. Is any of these helping to inspire you? What motivates you right now? Is it money? Okay, is that the big one that you're worried about? You've got a part-time job, you want to make some money, and you're wanting to build up the bank account to take a year off. Is it maybe, and I'm sure this isn't the case, but are you desperate to get out of school and to live the life that you want to lead? Are you motivated by what's the next big adventure out there waiting for you, whether it's travel, whether it's work, whether it's further study? Is it about quite excited and motivated by stepping out of the comfort zone, trying something new for the very first time? Do you get motivated by your friends around you, either like the social experience of spending and sharing year 12 with your buddies, your peers, or is it about maybe being a bit competitive against some of them, that you're desperate to beat the guy that's sitting next to you in the classroom? Is it about a little bit broader than that? Are you motivated by something broader and more socially caring for the environment, that you want to make the world a better place? And I admire you for doing that and feeling that. Are you motivated by that? Or some of you are a little bit motivated by the fear of what might happen if you don't do so well, or if you don't try your best, and what's waiting for you back at home in that regard. What I'm trying to get out here is each of us have a very unique perspective on this, and we're all motivated by different things. But understanding how people tick, and for a business sense, understanding how employees tick and get motivated, can really help the business. So this next section is all about motivation and theories of motivation to allow us to understand how employees can maximize their productivity. Now, at the bottom of the clip, here's an optional clip from a video called Freakonomics, which is a fascinating insight into what motivates some students. And they did this social experiment about paying students to perform better at school. So if they got their grades above a certain level, they get an extra $50. If they sustain that for a period of time, they have the option of being put in for a lottery to win a limo ride home. Would that motivate you? Would that inspire you to do better at school? And we'll see how these theories of motivation can be applied in a business sense. So the first theory we're going to look at is Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. As we take apart this first dot point, we're going to look at motivational theories over the next 3 lessons. We're going to take them one at a time and just scaffold them up. So the first one here, we're going to look at the key principles of the hierarchy of needs Maslow's theory. We'll then move on to goal setting theory and then the 4 drive theory. So we'll start off with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So a little bit of background here. So Maslow was an American psychologist, and he was looking at the way that people had needs and that they were scaffolded. So the word hierarchy just means that they're scaffolded up, that they're different levels of needs. Starting off at the bottom with these psychological needs, safety and security needs, social needs, esteem needs, and reaching the pinnacle of self-actualization. There's a sequential order we're going to move through up this pyramid of needs. Okay, so we'll break this apart a little bit more detail, but that's the background behind it. What is Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Well, as I said, it's like a pyramid. Think of it as like a pyramid, a structure we're going to move up, that people have different needs, and as we meet them, then we can move on to our next level of needs. So starting at the bottom, physiological needs are linked to things like food and water. Some of you may be watching or have ever seen the Naked and Afraid series. It's an expose of putting people on a stranded island, and they have to survive for 21 days without food and without water and try and just survive beyond that. So quite a confronting show, but quite like sort of raw in terms of breaking it down to the basic survival needs. So the human needs. They talk in the show about the law of threes, that you can only just about survive for 3 minutes without air, for 3 days without water, and with 3 weeks without food. And that's the idea of the 21 days of the challenge, okay? So our base raw need is food and water. We need that to survive. That's going to occupy us at the very base level. Once we've got that, and as on the show it occurs, then they can worry about the next need. So the next level of hierarchy of need is the safety and security needs. As if you brought the word out there, we're drawing out safety. Okay, so again, in the Naked and Afraid series, once they've got their food and water coming in, okay, what's the next worry about? Okay, shelter. How do I survive from the elements around me? So shelter, home, housing, clothing, all of those things give us safety and security, and then we can then think about the next thing we need. These needs are moving up. From the first one, we're moving up in sequential order of the pyramid. The next need that Maslow believes that we have is social needs, a feeling of belonging to a group, a community. So it's the love, affection, sense of belonging we get from being around each other. So once we've got these first two, we can move up this pyramid and strive to achieve the next need. Once we've got that covered, then we can move again further up, esteem needs. Now, if you think of the word esteem, it's a bit like sort of the respect that you get from people. I have a certain level of esteem. So the respect you get from others and a sense of accomplishment. I've achieved something. I'm proud of it. I have esteem. So we're moving up each level and we're scaffolding on the previous one. So we can only move on once we've got the previous level fulfilled. Okay, so we're moving up, moving up. Once we've gone beyond esteem, the final level that Maslow believes that we reach or strive for is the need for self-actualization. That's a very fancy word. But again, if we draw that out, self, okay, it's about myself and actually achieving my full potential. This is personal fulfillment, achieving your full potential, so the utopia we're trying to reach. So hopefully you can see here that we have a hierarchy. We're moving up the levels. It's sequential. We build on the previous one and we can only strive for the next need once the previous one is fulfilled and we feel happy. We're going to try and reach up these human needs to reach the top of self-actualization. So there we have the pyramid. Now you need to obviously learn the pyramid. So how do we remember that terminology? If only there was an anagram that could come up to help us. I think I've done my back. I think I need a physio. So what we're trying to get at here is SA, self-actualization, esteem, SA for social, SA for safety, and finally, I need the physio, physiological needs. A little bit over the top there, maybe for drama, but hopefully that will help you remember those 5 in the correct order. There we go. So we have Maslow's theory, the hierarchy of needs. And the idea of this step ladder you can see here is that the employee or any individual is trying to aspire higher. And once they've fulfilled one need, they move up to the next need, and move up to the next need, and move up to the next need. What's also important about this idea is if for any reason something happens at this level here, or this level here, or any of these levels here, that cuts a line in that ladder, then the employee comes back to that level of the need. Let's put a perspective on this. Let's pretend that you are a leading football player and your house burns down the night before the grand final. Are you really going to achieve your absolute personal best, or are you more concerned with what's happened at home in your family and the house is burnt down? Obviously, this point here. So our needs are scaffolded upon each other. And when something blocks or hits one of the lower levels, we return to that level and then need to rebuild. Now you can think of that also, not only in a football scenario, but also in a business scenario. Sometimes in a football scenario, why do we pay players so much money? Is that they don't have to worry about this stuff down here. If the income is so high that all my safety and physiological needs are covered, then all I have to worry about is playing the very best that I can on the actual game. The same for some of those high income jobs. You want to be focused on achieving your very best and that all of those bottom levels are fulfilled. If you think of companies like Google, where they provide their workers with food on the floor, that they have bonding activities where they do things together, that's going to fulfill their social needs and the esteem needs. All of those are scaffolded so we can achieve the very best. So the purpose of this slide here is to understand that if you cut out one of the levels, you have to come back and it's building sequentially. So let's now make that link between the theory and how we can apply it in a business context. So first of all, food and water, the physiological need, the base level need. How can we fulfill that in a business sense? Well, obviously with job and income. The income will give us enough money to buy the food. What about shelter and clothing? Well, the same could be said, okay? By having the pay, the income, it's going to be coming in to give you enough money to have your mortgage, to have your house, to have your accommodation and your shelter and your clothing to wear as well. But on top of that as well, we could be making sure that employees feel safe. Occupational health and safety is about assessing the business and making sure people aren't going to get harmed while they're working. We could do that. And also by giving people long-term contracts or fixed-term contracts so they're not worried about where the next paycheck's going to come on, that's also going to give them security. So in a business sense, those two will fulfill the first level of needs. Now let's pretend we're a business. How do we help our workers achieve the social level? Well, we can create teamwork social activities. I sometimes refer to these as like the cheese and wine parties at the end of the week. It might be in a business sense that when we conclude the week, we lay on something for our staff to have some cheese and wine to discuss what's been going on. It's about bringing the team together. It's about bonding. It's about connecting. That people feel linked to each other, not in isolation. We might do teamwork activities where we take the whole staff off on a teamwork bonding day when we do physical challenges. And again, we work together in groups. We might have staff functions at the end of the year or end of a period of time to again bring people together. We might allow, as in your year 12, you might have a common room where all of you can come together. You might do the same for your employees and have a collegial kitchen where everyone comes together to have their food and share their day's experiences. So allowing workers to have social needs fulfilled from work. How do we help their STEAM needs? Remember, this is about respect, a sense of achievement and accomplishment. How can we create that? Well, we can have the classic Employee of the Month programs where you have, and some of you may work for McDonald's, where you have like the crew member of the month put on the wall there so people can see, wow, you did a great job. You're being acknowledged and respected for that. That's going to give you a sense of accomplishment and respect from other people. It could also be recognizing people's skills and their ability to do more. And so delegating tasks for them to do. Okay, we'd love you to run this staff function. Or I think you'd be great for this next role. We'd love you to build your skills to get to that point. Gives you a sense of respect and a sense of accomplishment. That can also be part of how we do this. And empowerment is a term which if we break it down, employees, power. We're giving power to the employees. So again, by giving them roles to perform, giving them a voice in the business to how things can be resolved or improved, again, makes them feel respected, special. And how can we help our employees reach the full potential? Well, obviously, opportunities for advancement, promotion, allowing them to move up their career progression to become managers or CEOs, giving them the skills and the tools to do that will allow them to move up the hierarchy. They're motivated, driven by themselves, but we're also helping them to achieve the company's goals as well. So putting all this together, we have here a theory about how to motivate our staff. Should we use it in our business? And where is it most applicable? Well, if you think about this structure, by having those steps in line, we can allow all businesses to allow their employees to work their way up that progression. So it does give a clear structure for a business. So the employees can almost go self-paced, that they can move up and experience motivation and progress at their own pace, and they're eventually going to achieve their full potential. So you haven't got to watch them day in, day out. By setting up the structure, people will naturally move up the levels of the hierarchy. And by doing that, hopefully, once you've set that structure, you can almost step back and relax and let it happen. And if you can imagine, for a big company like Qantas with 30,000 workers, having a clear structure that you can literally set and forget and let them work through could be really good. Okay, and we'll compare that to other theories later on where it might not be so applicable. But for large businesses, this can be a real strength to use this theory. What's the problems if you try and analyze this theory? Well, it is assuming that everyone will progress through those levels in order, in that same order. We can assume here from people that not everyone is the same. Not all of us are motivated by those things in that same order. So people may feel, okay, right now I want to help out in society and I've got more of a social need, or people mean more to me than other things. Okay, so those order that we've got there might not be applicable for every employee. It also assumes that there's nothing else out there that may motivate employees. So we haven't taken into account that altruism we talked about by helping out the broader community. We've stayed focused within the business here. Maybe we do want to do something for the environment. Maybe we do want to do something and help a wider cause. Well, that's not included in here. Okay, so there may be other things that motivate employees which aren't included. And as people are going to be at different stages at different times, you can have some employees at this level and some employees moving through here. It can be really tricky to try and track where everyone is at. So you can start to lose that focus. So there's good things and bad things about each of these theories we're going to cover, and you've got to think about which one is the most applicable for each situation. So in this situation here, for maybe a small florist business, would this be a useful approach to go with, using Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory? Would it be beneficial to have that structure, or are they more likely to have a smaller group of employees which might have their own special goals and interests, and a literally one-on-one chat with them might work better than having a set and forget structure to work through? Okay, so in summary, what do we take away from this whole lesson? Maslow is a hierarchy of needs theory about motivation. He believes that humans have needs and that we need to approach them in a hierarchy, starting from the bottom, physiological needs, food and water. We need things to survive. There's safety and security needs. We need to feel shelter and security, keeping warm effectively. Social needs, a feeling of belonging, connectedness to others. Esteem needs, about getting respect and accomplishment and people feel that we're achieving things. And self-actualization, achieving our full potential. The hierarchy is sequential. We take a step at a time and we move up the hierarchy. And once we've fulfilled one need, we can move on to the next one and build and build and build. And so the business application is to look for ways in our business to allow employees to move up that progression and fulfill their motivational needs. So that's this theory. What's coming up next is Lawrence and Nora's 4 drive theory. And we don't need the karate outfit for that one. So, and I'll see you in the next lesson.